everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. Today we are going to be drawing a realistic flower. Why? Why not? Right? Just more practice with our shading, stuff like that. Get a little bit more detail and things like that in. So, all you're going to need is a pencil and an eraser as usual, and we are going to get started. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is start building out the shape before I start shading anything. So I'm going to go ahead and start with like the center of the flower. So I'm just going to kind of sketch this kind of a J shape going around. And then on the inside I'm going to do the same thing and then have it kind of curve in. So it'll kind of look like that. Alright, and then we're just going to kind of build off of that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start probably down. Let's bring this line out just a little bit more. I'm going to start down in here and I'm going to go up and go around and just curve it. I'm going to bend it a little bit here just to give it a little bit more of a shape to it. And then I'm going to curve it this way and stop probably right about here. And I'm going to come from this corner where I left off. I'm going to kind of cut in front of that and come this way and curve out like that. And then we're going to curve this downward like that. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is come from this side here. Just add a little bit of a bumpy shape to it and come out and go down into here, but I'm going to give it a slight edge and curve it into that. Okay. The next thing I want to do is we're going to make a petal out this way, so I'm going to come off of here and come out this way and curve it around and come back in and then make it poke out, and then I'm going to curve it inward and come down and connect it that way. The next thing I want to do is kind of run it from that side, so I'm going to come this way and kind of go around. So let's go up at an angle like this, and we can put a few more little curves in it. Bring it around. Down that way. So as you can see, we kind of have the petals going. What we want to do is kind of keep them overlapping on each other. So we're going to just continue with that. Alright. So first thing I want to do is I want to give a little bit more dimension. I'm going to connect this here and then kind of curve out that way. Okay. I'm going to come from this point. We're going to make this little curve up and bring it around. Come down to the bottom here, but we're going to put a slight little bend in it like that. Okay, and then we can just continue to build our layers off to the outer petals. So let's bring that out and go down and then round down into here. Okay, So that takes care of most of our inside pedal track. What we can do is start building off more the underside, inside of it. So we're going to come underneath here and come down. And then from there, we can bring another pedal up and connect it here. Okay, so I'm going to come down and over and connect that up there. We're going to bring that really close. And then just bring it back out again. And make another shape like this. And bring it down into itself. Okay. Then I want to start up underneath here. I want to make a little curve like this. Okay. And then I'm going to come off of that and make another pedal. Come out this way. Like that. I can make another one come off the top. Like that. And I can kind of follow my edge and come in that way. And then make a slight line that comes out. We'll go this way, bring it down, but we're going to stop there because we're going to add a few more inside over here. So I'm going to come here on this edge, I'm going to come up and go over, come down, and I can connect it. Okay. Now I can swing that down after I fix this. So we're going to make an underside. So we're going to come down first and go over and then bring that up that way. And then I can come from underneath this part. Let's go under it more. Let's come out this way. Let's make a few little extra shapes and then just round it up towards here. Okay. And then from there, I can make another piece. And remember, pause the video if you need to. I can arch it out, have another part cut in front, and round down like this. And then I can come out and bring that in. And we can round it out this way. Okay. Then I'm going to make a kind of rounded top to it. Like that. Okay, so we're just adding those lines to give it some more depth in there. And then one more pedal out this way. And we're going to stop there because I want to bring another one right out here. And just bring it back to there. And then we can finish connecting it here. And add a few more lines to give it some more depth in there. Okay, so that takes care of the base of our flower. What we're going to do now is start just adding in some of that shading. So we're just going to build ourselves out. So what I want to do is I'm going to hit up these edges up here on the top. I'm going to darken those and just make those darker. Okay, I'm going to take this and bring that down, and let's just darken that up right in there. And then I can just hatch in lightly, don't go black with it, but we can lightly hatch in some lines up here at the top. Okay, can maybe skip a space just to give that illusion of light breaking through at different points. And then as I come down this way, I can stretch it out and make it longer and bring it down into these areas. Okay, and come in here into this spide, and we can make some darkness going in here. Okay, and then down in here as well. You can hatch me in a few lines right in there. Okay, then I can move on to this little outside piece and hatch me in some lines over here. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is move out to the next set. So we have some backlighting coming through the flower, so I'm not going to go all the way down with it, but I am going to hatch out and go around. And as I work my way up here to the top, I get really close, but I'm going to go this direction instead and stay closer to my line. Okay, and we can just bring that around. Okay, so now that I have that taken care of, I can move on to another flower petal. So I want to keep this side dark, so I'm going to go ahead and hit up those edges again on this line. And just darken that. Okay, so now that I have that, I can finish filling in this area with some hatching. Okay, now when I go across the top here, I'm going to leave a space, alright, because I want this to, give that sense of having a ridge. So I'm going to hatch my lines in, but I'm not going to touch that edge line. I'm just going to bring it up. Just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to move on to the next petal down in here. So I'm going to darken that line up. And then, since it's kind of folded over, a lot of this is going to get hatched in. So I'm going to go ahead and hatch that all the way across. Now we do receive probably some more backlighting in here, so I can kind of skip over a space. Continue across the top here. Okay, so now I can go all the way across right in here. I know right now you're probably thinking like, it's not really shading it. We got another step, y'all. Promise, another step. Okay, so we're gonna finish going around and just hatching in. So I'm gonna take care of these two here, and I'm gonna hatch that in. I'm gonna stop probably right here and move to this next one, and I'm gonna go this direction and hatch up to about right here and just stop. Okay, now I'm gonna hit up these, so I'm gonna go ahead and darken that edge in there, and let's go ahead and do this one down here so we can just take care of both of those. Alright, so right here where my fold is, I'm gonna have some hatching, and then I'm gonna take it down and just move across this way. Okay, then I'm gonna get real close here and stretch it up that way, just like that. Alright. And what I want to do is just go ahead and show you what it is we're doing. So now that we've set up all this hatching, okay, I'm going to take my finger. You can just sue me a piece of paper, tissue, something. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to carefully and controlled smudge in hatching work. Okay, just make it nice and smooth. I can take my eraser and I can lightly bring back this area so that it's white. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfectly white. Okay, and then I can come in here and kind of cross hatch to bring back some of that darkness down here towards the bottom. And then I can blend that back in again, just lightly, just so I have some color variation. So down here at the bottom, I want to bring those darker lines back. Okay, so that's what we're going to end up doing with this whole picture. So I can take these spots, I can blend them in, and see how I'm losing some of that white. I can just use my eraser and bring that back. And then these areas that are touching on these folds, I can darken those up and try to get that even transition back in, just so it's not just a solid break. So again, these smaller areas, if you need to use your pinky, you can. And again, you can use your eraser lightly to bring back some of those lighter areas. And then again, where the folds are, I'm going to be a little bit darker. We edge our way out. Okay, so I'm going to do that over here. Now we have larger gaps here, so we shouldn't have too much. We might have to do it a little bit, but too much to erase out. Again, you can use tissue, you don't have to use your finger. Bring out back some of that white area. Just like that. Come back into my folds. Darken that. Again, I'm just going to hit up those folds. Anything that's close to the edge, we'll kind of darken that and then ease our way out for at least some transition from dark to light. So basically coming from the edges. Okay. Alright, I'm going to hit up this top one. The reason why we're going to go ahead and take care of this part now is because everything's so close together that we have to do a lot more refinement here in the center. Okay, come back to these fold areas, re-hit up my lines, and then transition it out. Folds more over here too, just so they stand out more. Okay, and if you wanted to, we'll go in and add some line details later, just to help it a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and move on to these lower petals down here. Bring those bottom areas out more. And again, I'm just transitioning from dark to lightly picking up my pencils, so it's just a little bit more even transition coming out. Okay, then I need to do this side over here. Now remember, we wanted to leave that area white, so we're probably going to have to really bring that back when we're done. Okay, so I'm going to use my eraser. I want to bring that edge by that line back, like that. Then I can come down into my folds. And transition that out as well. So we're just pulling out some areas just to kind of make them a little bit darker, give them more depth. And like I said, it's just a transitional thing. We don't want it to be completely dark inside of there, okay? So now we can continue to move on and outward. So we have this area in here. Now, with the smaller area, I don't really need to work on the hatch with the smudge, just because it's just going to end up getting all smeared all over the place. But now when I transition over here, I want to have like a lighting effect in here. So I'm going to go ahead and just clean that up, even though we'll probably have to do it again. It's okay to, just so you can see it better. But I'm going to go ahead and ease into darkening those edges. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do this hatch work like this. I'm not going to touch this edge, and I'm going to leave this bottom area alone too. So we kind of have to kind of free float it going across. Okay, and we can change direction if we need to help us keep ourselves going in the right direction. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of use that, go across. Let's go ahead and bring that down, and then we can hatch all the way on this bottom side here. Okay, and then I'm going to come up here and do the same. I'm going to hatch out, and I'm going to follow, leaving this top ridge right here at least open. So I'm just drawing singular lines and hatching it outward. Now, once I get here to this point, I'm going to stretch it out, and I'm going to do the reverse because we got that kind of backlight coming in. So I'm going to come in here, and as I go down, I'm going to leave this bottom area alone. And I'm going to work my way down. Okay, and then as I come here, I'm going to leave that top area and just come down to here, like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and come in here, and this is the top fold of this petal, and that is the under. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and darken up these edges here. Just like that. And then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to lightly hatch and bring that across as well. Okay, now on the underside, this area is going to be darker, so I'm going to hatch in here, and then as I move out, I'm going to leave it be, Okay, then what I can do is I can go ahead and start doing up, but controlled, start smudging in, and when we don't go back over some of that old stuff that we've already done. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and smudge those in, just working my way around. Okay, I can bring back some of that white, so I'm going to start with this edge here, bringing that back. Then I'm going to hit up this top edge here, just kind of clean it up a little. Okay, this inside area, let's go ahead and clean that up. And then this outside edge over here. Okay, I need to bring back some stuff. If I've erased it, I need to bring those edges back to me. Okay, so we can go ahead and hit those back up. And again, down there by the folds, we want to be a little bit darker and work our way out to a lighter transition. So we're just lifting our pencil up just so that it gets a little bit of that in between. Okay, so I'm going to bring that out again. Just a transition. And then probably inside of here under the fold, we'll do a lighter gray. Okay. And then I want to transition from the edge, work my way back. Okay, same thing down in here. I'm going to bring it out some. Just get lighter as I go, even with that underside right here. Again, just so it's more of an even transition out. Okay, now I'm going to come back over here because I'm going to try to kind of work my way down. So I'm going to come back over here. Start hatching down here in this lower region. Now I'm going to reach up a little bit here in the center, and then I'm going to take it over, stop here, again bring out that edge. Okay, now up here in this top, I'm going to bring out my edge over here just so we can get these two folded petals here, and that means we can go ahead and bring that out right there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hatch at least half the side of this petal, and then as I reach halfway, I'm going to bring it down some just so we can have a white edge over there. Alright, I'm going to bring it across. If I have to, I can turn my hatching this way and bring it that way across, and just have it barely coming up over the edge there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to smudge in these two pieces. Okay, I can bring back my edge by lightly erasing it out. Okay, then I want to come back to my folds again. We want to darken up these regions closer to the petal edge. So we got to really make sure the edge of our flower is dark right there, and then I can just kind of build my way out, going from a dark to a light. So just lightly pick up on that pencil. Again, bring out the edge of your flower. And there's 101 different ways I'm sure you can learn how to shade this, but this is just how I do it, okay? You can probably take stuff from this and start doing your own versions to make it better, but that's what we're here for, is to just help you learn from there on that point, okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come down and probably hit up this big one and then this inner piece. So what I want to do is go ahead and hit up this edge of this petal. Okay, just that petal, and then the edge of this piece here. Alright, so I'm going to start down here at the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hatch, but notice as I'm moving outward, okay, I'm leaving this area white because we still have that kind of like a backlighting coming through the flowers because our petals aren't that thick, at least not on the type of flower that we're doing. So I'm going to hatch out and leave that space open. Now as I work out to this, we got to transition. So I'm going to hatch out this way and come out. Alright, and I'm going to come in, and again I'm going to leave this area with some backlighting, so I'm just going to bring it across like this. Okay, I guess I really shouldn't say backlight, more of like a translucency, or the scattering of light from behind it. And again, I'm just connecting up here to give more of a shape to it, and then I'm going to hatch across that way. Now this whole underside, we're just going to hatch that in. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to smudge these two. Okay. So I'm just going to go around and smooth those out. Okay, and then that whole inside area. Now we didn't lose too much, or at least I didn't, but just in case you did, I can bring it back out with my eraser. Bring those white areas back. Okay, I'm going to come down to my fold areas and darken those, and again we're just going to transition out. So like down here I'm transitioning out from the bottom, but since we're starting to rotate this way, I need to transition from this side and work my way out and get lighter. Okay, so I'm picking my pencil up more as I work my way out. Do the same here. I'm going to transition. And I can hit up some of these petal edges just so that my dark color tone does not blend in. Again, work my way out. Come back, hit up those edges. Close to the folds. Bring those out. Okay, and then I want to do the same thing here. This is the underside of that. So I want to really bring those fold colors out. And I'm going to transition out, but now see we have another petal here. So I almost want to do it as a triangle. Okay, so I'm going to start dark and work my way out. Again, we just want it to be a light transition from those dark areas. Okay, so we're not going to completely douse it out with a dark color. Okay. So, next thing I can do is I'm going to come over here and do this one, and then we'll work over here to this one. So I'm going to darken these edges up. Again, bring those petal edges out. So I'm just essentially just going back over some of these areas to bring it out. So make sure it's dark enough so when I shade I don't lose too much of that definition. Okay, I'm going to go around with this one, and then we'll do the both of those. Okay, so with this one we're going to hatch. Okay, but I'm going to start in this corner, but then I'm going to bring it down some. I'm going to leave this top region white. Okay, so I'm just going to hatch all the way across. Alright, and down this lower region I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hatch across. I'm going to start turning so that I can go and see where it is I'm going, but we want kind of another like translucency or scattering, subsurface scattering going on. So I'm going to turn this way and go around it. This way. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to keep this low so that I can have it white going across the top. Alright, so that'll take care of that. Now with this, we want to kind of add this curve in here, right? So I'm going to hatch in this bottom area right here. Okay, but I'm going to stop right here. Alright, and then I'm going to hatch over this way, kind of creating this shape right here. So see how it looks like now we have a bend to it? So now I'm going to come underneath and I'm going to hatch this side. I'm going to leave a gap here. Okay, so I'm going to stretch that over this way. And I'm going to stretch it up just a little, just to kind of match that curve, and we're going to stop here, and then I'm going to continue a little bit more here in the corner. Okay, now when you're doing this, you can look at a reference and it'll build up, and then once you get used to seeing how shadow and light works, then you don't need to use one so much. So if you want to look at black and white photos of a flower, you can, and we're just smudging this in right now, but that way once you kind of get an understanding, you can start making up your own shadows and things, just so you can get it to look how you want in your head. Okay, so we just kind of smooth that out, and now I'm going to do my transition. So we're going to kind of start dark down here, and I'm going to lightly build my way out. Now because we have some light source coming in here, I'm actually going to take that back some. Okay, so since we have a little bit going right there, we are going to build outward from here. Okay, so we're just going to have that transition from this darker region here, building our way out light. Okay, now I do want to come up here because I want this top area to have light on it, and then I want to do the same on this petal on the top. Okay, so I can kind of do the same. I'm just going to kind of lightly go over this, just kind of darken the regions towards the edge. Number one, to bring it out some more, and then just do a very light, easy transition up from that, and then I'll do the same thing from here. We're just going to build that out. Okay, as you can see, we're getting closer and closer to finishing the flower. As far as the shading aspect, we are going to add a few extra little details in there. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come down to these folds down here, so this edge. So see how when I smudged, it kind of end up going in here. You may have to come back to some of your old petals, okay, and just clean out some of those areas. But we're going to come from here and transition from dark to light, so lightly picking up on your pencil as you move your way out, okay. Same thing down here. Okay, so I'm just transitioning out just from a darker spot. I'm going to pick up my eraser and bring out kind of a center highlight. So I'm not like clearing out the whole area. I'm almost like drawing with my eraser, and you can do that with the eraser that's on your pencil, and you just have to be careful with it. And I'm going to transition from this edge, going from dark to light, pulling that out as well. Okay, so next thing is we're going to start with this, and then we will work our way over that way. Okay, so I'm going to bring, and you just got to be careful. Like, see, I'm getting this smudging on the side. I think it looks cool, but if you don't want that, you can either clean it up later. You could place a piece of paper underneath your hand just so you don't smudge it. Me personally, I don't care. I think it gives it some cool texture look. But that's just something that you can think about if you don't want to smudge it everywhere. So I'm going to darken up that edge for this flower here, or the petal, I should say. Okay, so again, I am going to hatch this way just to start. Okay, now I want to leave a little space for some light to get in, so I'm going to hatch across and come down over here, and then I also want to leave a tiny bit for the edge at the top of the flower right here. Okay, so we have that, and then I want to go across this way, and we're going to leave that region alone, and then I can come up and connect it here like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here around these areas, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to smudge. Okay, I'm going to lighten up this area inside right here, as well as the outside edge as well, and then I'm going to do that up there on that top one. And now I'm going to do a bottom transition, so I'm going to start down here. I'm going to work my way out this way. So again, just a little bit of darkness, and then lightly pick up your pencil and work your way out. Okay, and do the same thing up here in this region. Now I'm bringing it up some here just so we show that division in the petal. But again, we're just working our way out light. Just like that. Okay, so that just leaves these bottom two petals. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is what we've been doing. I'm going to go around and I'm going to hit up these edges. Okay, go around. And just darken them up. Again, most people would probably actually go against what I'm doing, but this is just how I do things. Again, the point of art is to just kind of learn a method, and then you take from it and branch out and do your own thing. Okay, now I'm leaving these lines alone just because those were just a guideline for the shadows. So what I'm going to do is, like down in here, I know I'm going to hatch. So let's just go ahead and darken up this bottom edge of these petals here. Let's go ahead and darken those up. And then I'm going to hatch across inside of this line work. Now we are going to take it outside as well, but I just want to hit up these dark areas first. Okay, so I'm going to go over and fill that, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. to stay below this line area, and I'm just hatching across. Alright, so now I have that. Now I'm going to come down here and start with this petal. I'm going to start with my hatching here just like we've done before, but then again I'm going to leave the edges alone. So I want to stay away from this, and I'm going to stay away from this top edge. So we're kind of just hatching the center. Now I'm going to stay close to these lines, okay, but I'm not going to hatch all the way that it can't just be easily erased out. Alright, so we're going to go across. Just hatching in that center. Okay, and again what that's going to do is create the illusion of a bend in our flower. Okay, so when I get here it's going to get really tiny until we reach that edge, just like that. Okay, I'm going to come over to this side. I'm going to hatch this edge here. Notice I'm leaving a space. Okay, and again I don't want to touch this edge here, so if I gotta bring it down and get closer this way, we can. Okay, and then I'm going to move over to this side and do the same. Again, getting close to this edge, but then as I move out here and get wider, I'm going to stay farther away from it. Now as I transition over, okay, see how I'm stopping here, I'm going to bring a little bit across this way to this edge just to change it up. Okay, I want to come to this side and I want to come off this edge over here, and I'm going to bring it across like that. And then now I can come in and smudge those areas. Again, do it controlled, don't just go everywhere. Actually control it out. Try to control it as best you can. Okay, so this bottom region we're going to darken. Okay, not black, but just darken it. And we're going to transition our way out, just like we did before. Okay, so I'm going to start dark down in here and transition my way back out. So down here by the folds, it'll be a little bit darker. Okay, same thing when I come over here on this side. Just a little bit darker towards the folds, and then as I come out, I'm picking up my pencil lightly and transitioning it out. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Transition, maybe not so dark because it's more exposed. Okay, so you just kind of have to look at it and see, does it look like it's blended in and transitioned out smoothly. Okay, we'll do the same thing here. My way out, get lighter as I go. And if you're new to the channel and this is hard, I mean, this is listed under my advanced videos. I have beginner stuff and intermediate that you might want to go back and check out first and get there, just so you can practice. That's if you're just joining the channel. Okay, that way you can come and this stuff would be easier. There's no harm though in starting with advanced stuff and just learning from that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, if you just wanted some basic fundamentals to help help you out if you're struggling, that would be a good way to do that. Okay, so I'm just transitioning from this middle area here and working my way out lighter. Okay, now I can take my eraser and I'm just going to lightly touch up some of these areas, like close to the line here where I want my light exposure. Okay, so now that I have that, we can do one final thing where we can give it a little bit more depth to it. We're not going to go crazy, but just a little something. So we can come in here, like to these different areas, and we can add some really dark lines in here, just to give the illusion of the ridges on the flower itself. Okay, so just at different points in different areas. And remember, there's an old saying that holds true, in my opinion anyway, in art, that less is more. So we don't want to come in here and draw a bunch of lines everywhere, but just enough. You gotta kind of look around and see where's best to add, to kind of give it that little extra oomph. Okay, so I'm just going to go around and add these things. You can add the same amount, you can add less. I'm going to darken up some of these lines as I go, but it's completely up to you on what you want to do. Again, we don't want to cover the whole, like this petal here. I don't want to cover everything. I just want to give it enough, again, to just sell the fact that it is a flower. Okay, like right here where this crack's at, I can really bring that out. Okay, come over here, do the same, and what it'll do is kind of help people visualize the flow. Like, see how I kind of curved it, so give them the flow of what direction the petals are actually going. So see how that shows up. That's why we didn't really want to shade that super dark or anything. Okay, and like little areas right here where we have like a transition in shape, we can add some. And again, if these lines have really lightened up, you might want to pull some of them back out. Okay, come down in here, add a couple more. We can put some right here, just a couple. Again, we're not trying to oversaturate this area with too many lines, just enough to, like I said, just kind of sell the flow of the petal and where it's going. Okay, so some of these areas are a little easier to pick, especially the places where we drew little creases in. Add some right in here, darken those edges. Maybe a couple lines right here. Come out to this edge. Like that. Come over to these edges. Try to make them stand out. Maybe turn down into the flower a little bit here. Like that. Okay. Then I'm going to come down here, add a couple more flowage of my line work. Again, we're just trying to give that illusion of which direction that flower petal is going. Sometimes it's best to just start from the bottom and go out. Again, if any of these edges need to be retouched up, you can go ahead and do that. Now, the reason why I like using my fingers is, as you can tell, I got stuff all over it. So what I like to do is I like to take my finger and go around the edge and make it stand out a little bit more by taking what was there and just kind of going around it. Like I said, it gives it more of a cool little natural sketchy look. Just something I like to do. You don't have to do that at all, okay? Alright, so we have ourselves our flower here. What we could do is we could add in you could add in a leaf and a stem. It's completely up to you. I'm not going to, just because my main focus was the flower. So I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. Until then, keep sketching, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Alright, bye.